Hey, Calvinists, reformers, tulip people. I just heard a prominent theologian, I think all of America knows him, Calvinist. I just heard him preach that God only does what pleases him. Then I think he threw this verse in there. If he didn't, this is the first one that came to mind. Well, here's the question. If God only does what pleases him, right, for my good pleasure, here's the King James Version. If God only does what pleases him, then how can these verses be in the Bible? And how can God be displeased with anything? Remember, you also teach that God predetermined all that comes to pass whatsoever. Exhaustive divine determinism for some of you, and some of you say compatibilism, which when you follow it to its root is just everything's been predetermined and it will play out exactly as it's been predetermined. But if everything, according to this pastor, is that God does pleases him, well, how can this happen? Even if we know that he doesn't like the unrighteous, right? He doesn't like sin and wickedness, but shouldn't this please him if only he does and brings to pass what pleases him? Here's the King James Version. Here's another one. How did this displease God if he only does according to a very prominent, and I'm not going to give you the name, the man though, prominent Calvinist theologian says, no. See, you guys got to get it in your, puny human skulls that God only does what pleases him. And then we got all these verses where it says he's displeased. He's not pleased with that, but he brought it to pass. How is that possible? Is the pastor just wrong, or did the pastor just misspeak? I don't know. But there certainly seems to be some contradictions. Head scratchers abound, right? Here's another one. This one, the Calvinists really can't believe, as far as I can tell, because they don't think that anybody can come to Christ. They don't think anybody comes to Christ solely by the teaching and preaching of the gospel, even though right here, God himself wrote through the pen in Paul's hand that the foolishness of preaching does please God to bring about salvation. But we know the Calvinists don't agree with that. They got to be regenerated. They got to get a new heart. So wait a second. Did this pastor misspeak? Only what God pleases does he do. This does please him. But here's another one where he's not pleased. He's not pleased by what he brings to pass. Okay, and I got a few different versions. One is the ESV, one is the NASB, and then you see KJV for the other ones. Right here, cannot please God. But wait a minute. If he brings it to pass and it doesn't please God, what's the problem? Is it fallible man and a pastor? Was that pastor predetermined and decreed to fail and then be on YouTube so everybody can see it? That's not cool. Is it possible that predetermination of all things doesn't exist and God didn't and doesn't control all things? Head scratchers abound. Over and out.